perhaps Tony Nicely, please explain how you think about usage-based pricing, tracking drivers electronically and charging premiums accordingly, and how that will affect the auto industry. If the analysis showed a challenging future, would you ever sell?
Well, the answer to the very last question is no. The usage-based pricing is something that's popular with some companies that have done a lot of work on it. Probably the one most identified with it is Progressive, doing something called Snapshot. And there's no question that knowing how customers drive or policyholders drive and how they use their cars is a valuable input to assessing the proper premium to people. And insurance is all about comparing the propensity of loss to achieve, or evaluating the propensity of loss to establish the proper premium. And it's very easy to understand in life insurance. I mean, if somebody is 90, they're more likely to die than 20, despite Charlie's situation. Even at 83, they're more likely to die than somebody at 20. So, you know, that's obvious. Females live longer. That's not quite as obvious, but it's been established. So there are various variables in insurance, and you try to assess those variables and set the proper price for the policyholder. If you lived in a state, for example, where the population of the state was 1 instead of 100 million, there'd be a lot less chance of an accident, than because of the lack of density of driving and so on. There's all kinds of variables, and through studying usage by various methods, Progressive being probably the best known on it, they are attempting to look at some variables and hope they get better information about the propensity of that particular driver to, or the likelihood of that particular driver to be in an accident. And we look at lots of variables, they look at lots of variables. We think we've got a pretty good system, and so far I think that's been proven correct, but we'll continue to look at many variables. I feel very, very, very good about GEICO's management and its ability to evaluate risk. And I think there are plenty of other people that are good at it, but I don't think in my view, there's nobody better at it in terms of auto insurance than the GEICO people. But we ought to keep asking ourselves, can we do it better? And we do ask ourselves that. Now, when you get to the self-driving car, that is a real threat to the auto insurance industry. I mean, if that proves successful and reduces accidents dramatically, it will be very good for society, and it will be very bad for auto insurers. So, that can happen. I don't know how to evaluate over how long a period that might take, or what percentage of cars might be affected with that, but it certainly could happen, and it would not cause us to be thinking for 1 second about selling GEICO. Charlie?
Yeah, some of these things happen a lot more slowly than you might think. I went to a program at Harvard, at least 30 years ago, describing how color movies were going to come to the house on demand, and they were just around the corner. Well, they've come, but it was 30 years later. I have the feeling that self-driving cars having a huge impact on the market may take quite a while. Yeah. And so I'm not...
That would be my guess, but we could be wrong.
Yeah, it could be wrong. But
if we are wrong, we'll be wrong together. It is hard to figure out how it could have a major impact in 10 years, but it may not work at all. Who knows? But GEICO will be doing more business, a lot more business, in my view, 5 years from now than now, and 10 years from now. 30 years from now, you're young enough to find out, and I will go away peacefully without knowing.